Hey y'all, I'm Carrie,
I'm Mama.
and this is Monstrous. This episode contains language and topics that may not be suitable for all listeners, and topics that may be triggering to some. Listener discretion is advised.
I understand there's been some problems going on. Why don't you tell me about that?
The guy that I've seen, he has a girlfriend for 2 weeks, and she's been stalking me since November.
Do you know her name?
It's Carrie. She kept texting me telling me she wanted to kill me and my kids.
Okay, it's pretty obvious this is an intentionally set fire.
What about my animals?
The animals,
I know that they're all dead, but
the Humane Society is going to take care of the animals. Sorry.
I just wish she would go away.
Welcome back, guys, for your second episode this week. Thank you for joining us today. This story feels less like a true crime report and more like a psychological thriller. But as you will learn, the reality in this case is far more haunting than any fiction because it actually happened. So we aren't just looking at a murder today. We're looking at an identity theft so complete that for years, the victim was blamed for her own disappearance. Today, we're peeling back that digital curtain. So the voice clip that you just heard is Shanna Gollier. As a note, she goes by Liz, so that is what we will be calling her. In that recording, she sounds helpless. She sounds tired. She sounds like a woman who has spent years looking over her shoulder. At one point in her interviews, she actually tells detectives, quote, "I just want this to be over. I just want Carrie to leave us alone." It was a performance that lasted for years. It happened in the quiet suburbs of the Midwest, across the borders of Iowa and Nebraska. And it happened in the pockets of the people involved, right there on their phone screens. So, spoiler alert here. Okay, for anyone that does not know this case, Liz is the bad guy here. So, as we go through this, remember that because there are going to be times that you feel bad for Liz. But as those of us that know this case or that has seen the Netflix documentary, you will also come to realize that feeling bad for Liz is going to go away very fast.
I feel bad because I never watched the documentary. Hmm.
Okay, back to the case. We often talk about how technology connects us. It keeps us in touch with our families, handles our careers, and maps out our romantic lives. But what happens when that same technology is weaponized? What happens when a person's digital footprint continues to walk, talk, and even attack others long after the person themselves has vanished from the physical world? Today, we are settling in for a deep dive into the life, disappearance, and the digital haunting of Cari Farver. This is a case that fundamentally changed how law enforcement viewed proof of life. It is a tangled web involving a single father looking for a fresh start, a woman with a lethal quiet obsession, and a mother who spent years being gaslit by the very person who murdered her daughter. This is a story of digital erasure. It's the story of a brilliant woman whose life was stolen, and then whose memory was used as a mask for a 4-year campaign of terror. In order to reach the truth, though, we have to go back to the beginning, not just to the day Carrie vanished, but to the specific, brilliant life that she had built. To understand the tragedy of this case, you first have to understand the intellect and the spark of Cari Farver. She wasn't just a name on a missing persons flyer. She was a powerhouse in a field that even in 2012 was heavily dominated by men. At 37 years old, Carrie was a brilliant programmer analyst. In the tech world, she was a pioneer. She hadn't just learned to code. She had mastered over 12 different programming languages.
Smart chickie.
Mhm. So think about the mental discipline required for that. She understood the logic of machines and the architecture of the digital world itself. It's a detail that adds a layer of bitter irony to this case. A woman who built digital worlds was eventually erased from her own by someone using the very tools she understood so well. Thanks to the journals and the memories shared by her mother, Nancy Rainey, we can piece together the life that Liz Gollier tried to erase. So Carrie grew up in Iowa, and from a very young age, it was clear she saw the world differently. While other kids were playing with dolls, Carrie was fascinated by logic puzzles. Nancy recalls that Carrie had a mathematical mind that just didn't quit. She was the kind of person who looked at a problem and didn't see an obstacle. She saw a sequence of steps to be solved. In the early 90s and early 2000s, the tech world was a boys' club, but Carrie didn't care. She taught herself to code when the internet was still in its infancy, and by the time she was in her 30s, she understood languages like C++, Java, the Python with a fluency that most people reserve for their native tongue. But beyond the code, Carrie was a daughter and a mother. The most important part of Carrie's life was her son, Max. Nancy's journals are filled with stories of Carrie's devotion to her son. She was a single mom who worked in a high-pressure tech job, but she never missed a school play or a bedtime story. She and Max had a language all of their own, full of inside jokes and shared interests in science and movies. They were her anchor, the people she spoke to every single day. There was never radio silence in Carrie's life. This is why the runaway narrative was so insulting to those who knew her. The idea that Carrie would leave Max without a word, without his birthday present, without even a toothbrush was a fundamental impossibility. Nancy wrote in her journal during those missing years, quote, "They tell me she's sending texts. They tell me she's fine, but I know my daughter's heart. And my daughter's heart is here with her son. If she isn't here, she isn't anywhere." For nearly 4 long years, Nancy lived in a state that researchers call ambiguous loss, which I've mentioned before. This is a unique and agonizing psychological torture where a loved one is physically absent but psychologically present. It creates a living dead scenario where the family can't fully grieve because the digital footprint or the lack of closure suggests that the person is still out there. Liz Gollier utilized this to its fullest extent. She didn't just send cruel texts, she sent hopeful ones. She would occasionally text Nancy as Carrie saying things like, quote, "I'm thinking about coming home soon," or "I miss Max." She would then follow those up with a manic text saying, quote, "Just kidding, I hate you all." This kept Nancy in a perpetual state of uncertainty. Jesus Christ. Liz was weaponizing Nancy's hope to keep her off balance, effectively gaslighting a grieving mother into believing that her daughter was just being cruel rather than deceased. It was because of these active messages, friends and even some family members occasionally questioned Nancy's insistence that Carrie was dead. Liz was systematically isolating Nancy from her support system, which adds yet another layer of awful to this entire thing. So it's reported that Carrie had also been living with bipolar disorder, a fact that she was incredibly open about. She viewed it like any other technological glitch, something to be managed with the right tools. She was diligent with her medication and her therapy. She wasn't unstable. She was a woman who valued her health and her stability so she could be the best mother and professional possible. So Liz Gollier didn't just kill Carrie. She stole her reputation by using her medical history as a cover for murder. So, how did this whole thing begin, and how did a monster like Liz meet someone like Carrie? Well, in late 2012, Carrie's career took her to Omaha, Nebraska for a temporary work project. While she was there, she decided to explore the local dating scene. It was a new city, a new start. She was 37, beautiful, and smart. It seemed like a normal chapter in her busy life. This is where Dave Kropa comes into the case. Dave was a recently single father who had just moved from Wisconsin to Omaha to manage an auto shop. He was using plenty of fish, and he had been seeing a woman named Liz Gollier. So it's important to note that the predatory nature of the time to note the predatory nature of the timeline here. Forensic records show that Liz and Carrie were both actively on the same dating site in the exact same geographic radius, looking at the same man at the exact same time. This wasn't a random encounter. It was a competitive hunting scenario where Liz viewed Carrie as a direct rival for her chosen companion. But Dave was very upfront with Liz, telling her, quote, "I'm not looking for a wife. I am looking for casual company." And Liz seemed to agree. But then Cari Farver walked into Dave's shop for a car repair. And according to Dave, it was like being hit with a lightning bolt. Carrie wasn't just beautiful, she was fascinating. They had intellectual connection. Dave described it as a spark that made him feel like he wanted more than just a casual hookup. But we have to look at the physical reality Liz was creating while Dave was being drawn to Carrie. Liz wasn't going to just be a casual date. She was molding herself into Dave's perfect woman. Dave liked motorcycles and heavy metal music, so suddenly that was Liz's entire personality. She developed a chameleon-like personality, mirroring his hobbies and interests to embed herself into his life. She was a physical presence that he saw almost every day, carefully crafting a persona that made her seem indispensable. This points to a deeper narcissistic hero complex. Liz didn't just want Carrie gone, she wanted to be the center of Dave's universe. By later stalking herself, she created a scenario where she was the victim who required Dave's constant protection. This ensured that Dave spent his emotional energy on Liz rather than searching for Carrie or mourning the loss of their connection. And this wasn't the first time that Liz had done this either. Investigators would later find that Dave wasn't the first man Liz had trapped. She had a clean history of claiming men and then systematically harassing any woman who entered their orbit. And while she was acting the part of the cool, easygoing girlfriend for Dave, she had already been hunting Carrie. So later forensic downloads of Liz's phone revealed a chilling contradiction to her story. She told everyone she only saw Carrie once in a hallway for a split second, but the phone records tell a different story. Liz had called Carrie's home 6 times using the star 67 to hide her caller ID. So I'm going to pause for a second. Okay. Did you ever use star 67, Mama?
Back in the day,
You did? Okay. So for anyone that does not know what star 67 was, I'm going to tell you. But first, I looked it up because I was really curious. So star 67 today typically does not work because it's usually blocked by the spam blocker apps that they have now. So it's
yep.
automatically rejected. So you can't get most of the time it's not gonna work. But for all of our younger listeners, okay, you use star 67 to block your number when you were calling someone else. So if you put star 67 in your phone and then the person that you wanted to call's phone number, that person on the other end wouldn't be able to see who was calling on their caller ID. It would say unknown or private, something like that. Which I didn't know this. Star 67 has been around since the 1960s. I didn't know that. That's crazy. So it was most popular in the late 1990s and early 2000s because by this time, almost every American household had a house phone. This is the same period where not many people had cell phones. Cell phones were out, but they weren't as popular as they are today. That didn't happen until around 2007 when Apple launched their first touchscreen phone, which those are, the smartphones that we have today. I totally dated myself, but it's okay. Whatever. Don't laugh at me.
I do it all the time. What are you talking about?
Like, whatever. Anyway, we're not here to talk about cell phones or how old I am.
Let's
Okay.
not even go there.
Anyway, so Liz had used the Star 67 feature 6 different times to call Carrie before she eventually escalated. And Liz wasn't just calling her either. She was stalking her, listening to her, and obsessing over her before the murder of Carrie ever took place.
Nice person.
Yeah. So she didn't just happen upon Carrie, she targeted her. The level of audacity here is truly chilling. Just days before Carrie vanished, Liz, acting as Carrie, sent a text to Carrie's boss. She claimed Carrie was quitting immediately, but she didn't stop there. She had actually recommended that Carrie's boss hire Shanna Gollier to replace her, who is AKA Liz. Mama's just giving me a look. So Liz wasn't just content with erasing Carrie. She wanted to literally step into her shoes, take her paycheck, and occupy her physical space in the professional world. So this required more than just sending a text message. It required access. Forensic investigation later revealed a specific password strategy that Liz had used. In the days following the murder, Liz systematically attempted to log into Carrie's email using common passwords associated with Carrie's son Max and her favorite hobbies. Literally trying to just take over her life.
No kidding.
So Liz wasn't just a hacker in the traditional sense. She was a social engineer. She spent hours studying Carrie's life and her intimate connections to find the key to her accounts. She wasn't just breaking into a computer. She was stalking Carrie's mind in order to unlock her actual identity. But Liz wasn't just interested in Carrie's social life or her job. There was a cold, calculated element of financial piratism at play here. Liz didn't just want Carrie's voice. She wanted her resources as well. So while Liz was gaslighting everyone into believing that Carrie had run away, she was actively attempting to siphon off Carrie's life savings. Yeah. Forensic accounting later revealed that Liz had made multiple attempts to access Carrie's bank accounts and transfer funds to her own account.
Nice person.
So this adds a deeper, even more predatory layer to the identity theft. It wasn't just a crime of passion or a manic obsession over Dave. It was a hostile takeover. Liz had viewed Carrie's middle-class stability and the financial independence that she had as an asset she could simply download for herself, viewing the murder as an opportunity for a complete lifestyle upgrade at Carrie's expense. So Liz didn't just want Carrie's boyfriend or her money. She wanted to completely destroy who Carrie was.
No kidding. Jeez.
She had taken it so far to
Talk
actually
about narcissistic tendencies.
right, exactly. So she had actually taken it so far as to clone Carrie's Facebook, pulling photos to make the imposter account look legitimate. Even more cold-blooded, she sent erratic, unhinged emails to Carrie's workplace, effective, eff- effectively getting Carrie fired after her attempt to quit and get herself hired in Carrie's place had failed. So by sabotaging her career, Liz was ensuring Carrie had nowhere to go in the eyes of the public, making the runaway story even more believable. However, Liz had made a tactical error in those early days. Carrie was a professional programmer and always used specific email signatures. In the first few weeks, Liz tried to mimic them, but kept getting the job title or department name slightly wrong. It was a glitch in the matrix that showed the ghost was still learning how to be the victim she had just killed. So, on the night of November 13th, 2012, this is how the two met. Carrie was at Dave's apartment. This is the night that the entire world changed. Liz Gollier had showed up at the door. She said she needed to pick up some of her things that she had left there. Dave had opened the door, and there stood Carrie behind him inside his apartment. For a few seconds, the two women locked eyes in the hallway. It was the only time that they would ever meet face to face. The next morning, Carrie left Dave's apartment to go to work. She sent him a friendly text, and everything seemed normal. But then came a massive silence. In a case defined by 50,000 texts, The most incriminating part is those missing 24 hours. Investigators believe this window of silence was when the murder and the initial cleaning of the vehicle took place. And the tone did and Jesus Christ. Then the tone did a 180-degree flip. All of a sudden, Dave received a text from Carrie's number that said, quote, "I hate you. I'm moving. I don't want to see you anymore. Go away."
Jeez Louise.
Dave was baffled. At the same time, Nancy received a message saying, quote, "I'm fine, Mom. I'm starting over. I've got a new job in Kansas." Carrie's Facebook remained active, but the voice had changed. The persona was now erratic, cruel, and relentless. The red flags went up immediately for Nancy Rainey. Carrie would never, ever leave her son Max without a word. Nancy filed a missing persons report in Iowa, but the investigation fell into a jurisdictional vacuum.
That don't surprise me.
The state of Iowa thought she was a runaway. The state of Nebraska thought it was a civil matter. Law enforcement at the time suffered from what many call runaway bias. Because Carrie's phone was active and sending messages, they assumed her disappearance was voluntary. They looked at her bipolar diagnosis and closed the book. They told Nancy, quote, "We can't arrest someone for not calling their mom." This is where the digital ghost was winning. Liz Gollier discovered a loophole. As long as the phone is active, the person isn't seen as missing. This allowed her to keep Carrie's memory alive as a weapon while Carrie's body lay undiscovered. What followed was a campaign of surveillance that turned Dave's life into a prison. Liz didn't just send mean text messages, she built a digital panopticon. To hide her tracks, Liz used burner apps like TextMe and Pinger to create dozens of fake phone numbers. She also created various email aliases to simulate a person who was constantly changing their contact info. This mimicked the behavior of someone having a manic episode, reinforcing the lie about Carrie's mental state. Tony Kava, a digital forensic investigator and hacker in Iowa, discovered that Liz was often sending texts from public Wi-Fi hotspots, such as Starbucks or libraries, that were all located near Dave's work. She would sit in her car, send a flurry of Carrie texts, and then walk into Dave's shop minutes later as Liz to comfort him when he received them. Talk about major manipulation.
No kidding.
She had even used apps to schedule texts to be sent, setting them up to go out at 10 p.m. while she was sitting on the couch watching a movie with Dave, making it physically impossible in Dave's mind for her to be the sender. But it wasn't just text messages that she would send. Investigators found that Liz Gollier didn't just use one or two accounts. She created a sprawling ecosystem of identities. In total, are you ready for this?
I'm listening.
This is going to blow your socks off. In total, she utilized over 30 different email accounts to maintain this ruse.
Good gravy.
Mm-hmm.
I can barely keep up with one.
Right? Many of these used variations of Carrie's names or terms that mocked the victims. Accounts like Disturbed Carrie or I Hate You, Liz. Based on the forensic evidence, Liz Gollier used not only over 30 different email accounts in total to orchestrate the harassment, but also dozens of spoofed phone numbers.
That's just crazy.
She done fell off her rocker.
Yeah, she did.
It was a digital web designed to make Carrie look like she was losing her mind, while Liz was the one pulling every single string. But Tony Kava wasn't just using standard police software. Because Liz had used such a massive volume of VPNs and proxies, standard tools couldn't map the data. Tony had actually wrote his own custom code to correlate tens of thousands of data points. So the scale of what Tony found was staggering, and it was all things that local police couldn't find. So while we often hear the number 15,000 when you count every spoofed account, pings to servers and individual logs, Liz had created over 1.2 million digital fragments.
See, how did she have time to do anything if she said there I don't understand that.
I don't know how anybody has time to do something like this. So this wasn't just a hobby, okay? Liz was essentially working a full-time job doing this, equaling roughly 50 hours a week just to maintain the illusion that Carrie was still alive.
That's nuts.
Right. Like, I'm married, obviously, but I'm sorry, there is no man worth all that.
Oh, hell no. That's why I've been divorced 4 times.
I have better things to do with my time.
Right?
No, thank you, sir.
It's like, heifer, please.
Right. Thank you, next. You know what I mean?
Right?
It was his Jesus, okay. So, it was Tony's bespoke software that finally found the outlier here. He proved that while the messages appeared to come from all over the world, they always originated from a localized source whenever a tiny technical mistake occurred. This mistake always pinned the location back to where Liz was standing. It was a vicious trauma bond. Whenever Dave tried to pull away from Liz, something bad would happen to her or her property. This lady is crazy, okay? Like,
No shit.
there is no bounds. So at one point, her garage was spray painted with slurs. Her car was keyed. Liz used these types of things, staged attacks, in order to guilt trip Dave back into his protective role. So he would try to break up with her and would try to, put her at arm's length, and some shit like this would happen. And now he feels guilty and feels responsible for Liz's safety because he fully believes, based off what is in front of him, that Carrie is targeting her because of their relationship. hmm So this went beyond staged property damage. Liz had Liz had actively targeted Dave's sanity. She would often suggest to Dave that he was misremembering things or that he was too stressed to realize that Carrie was actually reaching out to him in ways that he wasn't seeing. And all of this explains why it took years for the truth to actually come out on what the hell was really going on.
No shit.
So Liz was performing a classic relentless gaslighting. She was breaking down Dave's confidence in his own perception of reality, ensuring he remained dependent on her as his own reliable source of support. But the harassment wasn't just digital. Dave would occasionally find physical gifts on his doorsteps, like cards with threatening handwritten messages from Carrie or items meant to remind him of their brief time together. And if you remember, Carrie, quote, is the one that broke up with Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this showed that Liz was physically trespassing on Dave's property, hovering in the shadows long before the arson. When detectives finally sat Dave down years later and told him the truth, he reportedly collapsed.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
He had
Poor guy was played for how long?
Right, exactly. Like his entire life changed. He had to face the reality that he had been comforting the person who murdered the woman that he actually loved. Liz even played with the concept of death to torment Dave. She once sent him a phony obituary for herself. It was filled with insults and threats, and she claimed that Carrie had written it to show Dave exactly how she planned to kill Liz.
Good Lord.
This was designed to trigger survivor's guilt in Dave. She wanted him to feel that if he didn't stay with her, if he didn't protect her 24/7, then she would end up dead. Then in January 2013, Dave spotted Carrie's Ford Explorer in his apartment complex. The police did a cursory search, but because they still viewed her as a runaway, it was tragically minimal.
But how could she be a runaway if she's an adult? That's what I don't understand.
It's more if she's an adult, she can run away from her life and start a new one if she wants. It's like that kind of outlook.
You don't need to get it together.
Right. They found a single mysterious fingerprint on a mint container, but they missed the signs of a massive digital and physical cleaning. Even the appearance of the car was part of a larger psychological game. There were multiple phantom sightings of the car that had been orchestrated by Liz. She would frequently tell Dave that she had just seen Carrie's car turn a corner or pull out of a parking lot. She would even drive Dave around searching for the car in the middle of the night. It was a physical extension of the gaslighting, using Dave's own eyes against him to create a sense of constant near misses that kept his adrenaline and anxiety at a peak level.
I'm sure dude's gonna need some serious help.
hmm Then that fingerprint on the mint container that I mentioned is a perfect example of the perfect crime fallacy. So the car had been meticulously scrubbed, but one single touch on a plastic container, that one print, was the only physical evidence that did not belong to Carrie, eventually tying Liz to the interior of the car. When Nancy eventually got the car back, she noticed it had been meticulously detailed cleaned. The killer had attempted to reset Carrie's physical life. Carrie's professional laptop was gone, but when you look at the detailing, it wasn't just a standard car wash. Liz had a clinical obsession with erasing the biological evidence. Forensic experts would later find traces of high-grade enzymatic cleanser and industrial strength bleach inside the
He's
car.
been determined to get the shoe.
hmm
Bitch be crazy.
So it's a chilling irony when you really think about it. Her attempt to be clean is exactly what flagged the car as a crime scene later.
Oh,
So had she not meticulously cleaned it the way she did, nothing would have looked off. But here's the part that is hard to swallow. When the Ford Explorer was first recovered, it was basically just handed back to the family. Here you go.
that's crazy.
For 3 long years, that car sat in Nancy Rainey's garage in Iowa. So think about that. Every time Nancy went into that garage, she was standing just inches away from the only evidence of her daughter's murder. And that's all because the police saw a text message and assumed Carrie ran away from her life. They didn't even process the vehicle when it was first found.
That's crazy.
Yep. When investigators finally came back and took the car and finally looked at it years later with a homicide lens this time, they realized the killer had even removed the SD cards from the car's text system. But you can't scrub away the truth.
No, cannot.
They finally pulled up the passenger seat padding and found a massive, dark pool of blood soaked deep into the seat's foam.
She killed her in her own car.
Yep.
But dang.
This was the legal death of Cari Farver. Medical examiners testified that there was so much biological evidence under that seat that it was physically impossible for a human to survive that amount of blood loss.
No kidding.
So Nancy had noticed a sweet metallic smell the day that she had gotten the car back. But it wasn't cleaning supplies as they had thought. It was the smell of a life that was being erased. And while the car was being sanitized, Liz was collecting Carrie. Investigators found that she had rented a small storage unit under a fake name to keep trophies like Carrie's birth certificate and her social security card. She wasn't just hiding a crime, she was literally stealing a life.
That's just nuts.
So now, while the car was sitting silent in a garage, the digital haunting was beginning. Liz just didn't want Carrie's boyfriend. She wanted to destroy her reputation, and in fact, she wanted to destroy anyone who got close to Dave. So we're going to take a minute and look at some of the actual messages that Dave had received.
Talking about a jealous girlfriend.
Yeah. These are not all of the messages, these are just some. So, like I said, Liz had created a digital panopticon. To Dave, Carrie would send messages like, quote, "I see you sitting on your couch in that blue shirt. That sandwich looks dry." And quote, "I'm in your backyard right now. I can see you through the window. Why aren't you answering?" And quote, "I hope you like the smell of smoke. I'm going to burn your world down."
Like I said, bitch be crazy.
Hmm. So the blue shirt incident is one of the most terrifying parts of this story. Dave wasn't just wearing a blue shirt. He was in a specific chair, eating a specific meal, with his feet propped up in a very specific way. And it proves that Liz, acting as Carrie, wasn't just hacking. She was physically outside his window in the dark, watching him breathe and move while she typed those threats. It turns this from a digital haunting into a voyeuristic nightmare.
No shit. Poor dude.
And to Nancy, the cruelty was even more pointed. Liz used Carrie's voice to gaslight her own mother, sending texts claiming she was a terrible mother and that her son Max was better off without her, saying, quote, "I'm not coming home because you're a terrible mother. You're the reason I left." And quote, "Don't bother looking for me. Max is better off without me and definitely better off without you." End quote. "Happy birthday, Mom. Hope it's your last."
Damn.
Yeah. And that's only some of them. That's not even all the texts that were sent. Like I said, there's 50,000 total.
I mean, sometimes my children don't talk to me that often, but
Yeah. But the most devastating attacks were reserved for Max himself. Imagine being a 15-year-old boy receiving texts from your missing mother saying she's coming to pick you up for your birthday, and then she never shows.
oh, and that's not right.
Liz used the bond Carrie had with Max as a tool for psychological torture.
That's just,
You shouldn't do that to anyone, but he's 15
he's a child.
who has spent his entire life extremely close to his mom. Yeah. She would send texts to Max saying, quote, "I'm coming to pick you up or I'll be there for your birthday." Max would wait. He would sit by the window or on the porch waiting for a mother who would never arrive because she was already gone. Liz used that deep mother between a mother and son as a tool for psychological torture, standing him up over and over again, forcing a child to wonder why his mother had abandoned him. This wasn't just murder. It was an attempt to destroy Carrie's image and the people that she loved and who loved her the most. For years, Nancy sat with those texts crying. She noticed Carrie didn't use certain slang or capitalized words the same way she used to. Nancy knew, but the police didn't, and they wouldn't listen.
Sounds right.
Right. It's how it normally freaking goes. Which is insane to me because those that you talk to on a regular basis, those that you were closest to, they're going to know.
Oh, yeah.
If I suddenly start texting you, Mandy, or Mike, and I don't use punctuation, something's not right.
That's like if I start to sending text, y'all know me. I can't spell who. My fat fingers get in the way.
If every single word is spelled correctly and I don't have to be like, "Mama, it's spelled like this," something's not right.
Exactly.
But somebody who doesn't know me like that wouldn't think twice. And that's the issue in cases like this.
That's just crazy.
Most police don't take those things serious.
Maybe they should.
They should because it indicates something's wrong. Whether
They-
whether they went missing and someone has their phone or, you know, they're having a mental break, something isn't right. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, it's a whole nother topic. So in August of 2013, the harassment took a terrifying physical turn. Liz Golyer's house in Council Bluffs caught fire.
She set fire to her own hips.
This wasn't a small kitchen fire. It was an inferno.
What the hell was she cooking?
Liz claimed Carrie had finally snapped. She told Dave and the police that Carrie had been seen lurking in the shadows before the house went up in flames. But when the fire marshal and forensic investigators stepped into the charred remains, the story Carrie's ghost was telling didn't match the physics of the fire. The fire marshal's report noted multiple points of origin. In accidental fires, you usually have just one single source, and it spreads. Here, the fire had been helped ignite in several different rooms. They found traces of accelerants poured in patterns that ensured the house would be a total loss. But the physical evidence wasn't the only thing that betrayed her. There was a specific digital link found in the metadata. So, forensic investigators found that minutes before the fire was reported, a device connected to Liz's neighbor's Wi Fi, which Liz had the password for, searched for how to make a house fire look like an accident and can arson be traced.
Well, that was about dumb.
Mm hmm.
Even I know better than that.
I know. I hope to God the FBI don't ever come sniffing around here. My damn Google searches.
You being Leavenworth, my baby.
I know. That's what I'm saying. They're going to lock me up just to prevent anything. And I'm not even doing anything wrong.
Not this week, anyway.
I'm just looking at cases. The shit I Google whenever I. Oh, man. So this bridges the gap perfectly between the digital Liz and the physical arsonist, proving the crime was preceded by a digital blueprint. hmm So yes, she burnt her own house down.
She's on some good drugs. If not, she should be.
And I mean, her house was a complete total loss. Yeah.
If she's not on some good drugs, she should be.
Yeah. But what the public didn't know at the time was that Liz wasn't acting alone in her digital environment. Liz had been on again and off again, living with a man named Todd Butterbaugh. I think that's how you say it. Todd was an IT professional. He was a tech guy who lived a quiet life, and Liz used him as her unwitting engine. She used Todd's high-speed home server and his sophisticated internet setup to run her spoofing apps. So by routing her messages through Todd's IP addresses, she made it look like the threats were coming from a stationary location while she was actually mobile. Now, in all of this, Todd was an innocent bystander. He truly had no idea what Liz was doing. But his technical resources provided the mask that Liz had needed to get away with it. It wasn't until Todd grew suspicious and eventually handed over SD cards and old devices to police that her digital walls started to crumble. Liz had betrayed everyone in her life to keep this ruse going, including the man that helped provide her a roof over her head. And the most heartbreaking evidence came from the family pets. Liz had a dog and a cat, and they both perished in that house fire.
Oh,
The forensic necropsy, which is an animal autopsy, of the animals revealed something very chilling.
she killed him ahead of time?
Usually in a house fire, animals die of smoke inhalation while trying to hide or escape.
Right.
However, the investigation suggested that the pets may have been incapacitated before the fire started.
Oh, man, that's just cruel.
There were no signs that the animals had tried to claw their way out of the rooms that they had been locked in. This pointed to a level of calculated cruelty that goes beyond simple arson.
Oh, man.
Yep. Like, why?
This just,
Burn
It-
your house down. Whatever. Okay? You're
but
the
don't
one,
hurt the puppies.
right. You're the one losing all your shit. You're not hurting anybody but
Bitch
yourself.
already done lots of her shit.
But why are you killing the animals? What did they do?
I-
Like, I don't understand how they play into the whole thing. What's the purpose of that? Because you're a monster.
She's something, that's for damn sure.
Ugh. So Liz Gollier was willing to sacrifice living creatures that loved her just to make her lie about Cari Farver even more believable to one person. Dave. I'd stay the fuck off the dating market if I was this motherfucker.
No shit.
So the fire served a dual purpose for Liz. It destroyed any evidence that she might have been hiding in her home, and it made her a homeless victim. It then forced Dave Krupa to step up. He felt so much stalker guilt that he let Liz move closer to him, effectively trapping him inside that predator's den.
Poor dude.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't trust nobody ever again.
Yeah, he's definitely got some trust issues.
Fuck that. And it just gets worse from here.
And this all happened here. And
Yeah. Liz Gollier was living in Council Bluffs. That's where her house was.
where'd he live?
He had moved to, what did I say earlier? Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not that far.
Yeah, he had moved. Yeah, it's what? The next state over? 2 states over? It's not far.
Next state up.
Over, up, whatever.
North, it's north of us, honey.
Geography is not my strong suit, okay?
Yes,
I'm good at a lot of things, but that is not one of them.
Yes, I know.
I've never been good at that. I'll admit it. Ask me a math question, I can tell you.
Oh, I know. You're like mama on that.
Don't ask me about geography.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at you and laugh.
Anyway, so as 2015 approached, Liz realized that the police were getting closer to her, and she needed a scapegoat. And she chose none other than Dave's ex-wife, Amy Flora.
Oh, and she didn't have nothing to do with any of this.
Nope, but she wanted to take her out too. You want to know why? Her and Dave had children together,
Oh my God.
so she was still a part of his life.
Well, yeah.
And Liz didn't like that. Mm-hmm. So this was a tactical strike. If Liz could get Amy arrested for Carrie's murder, she would win twice. Carrie would be officially dead, and Amy would be out of the picture, leaving Liz as the only woman in Dave's life. So Liz began sending confession emails to Dave and to the police. But she sent them from an account that she had created in Amy's name. These emails are a deep dive into the mind of a psychopath. One of these emails read, quote, "I used a knife. I stabbed her 3 or 4 times in the stomach. I watched her die in the seat of her own car. I put her in the ground where no one will find her."
Some sick bitch. I
Yeah.
wonder if she's related.
So it's important to remember that Liz Gollier never sat in an interrogation room and admitted the truth. Her only confession was a calculated lie intended to put another woman in prison. She was so convinced of her own brilliance that she accidentally gave the police the roadmap to her own conviction. The frame job was incredibly meta. Detectives Dottie and Avis actually had started playing along. They had convinced Liz that they believed Amy Flora was the killer. They then recruited Liz to help them catch Amy. Liz was so excited to be the hero of the investigation that she began providing police with the very evidence that they would later use to convict her. She would forward messages that she claimed were from Amy, essentially writing her own arrest warrant in the process. We need more detectives like this. Just saying.
Yeah, we do. Because they fun.
Yeah.
Especially when they make her more or less confess by herself.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Liz had went as far as to shoot herself in the leg in a park, telling the police, quote, "Amy Flora just shot me. She told me I was next after what she did to Carrie. I'm not shooting myself for no motherfucking money."
No man's worth that crap. Or woman, as if the case may be. I'm sorry. I don't even like getting shot by the doctor. I'm not going to shoot myself with a damn bullet.
Yeah.
No.
Mhm. This was a desperate move, and it was the turning point. Liz didn't realize that Amy Flora had a rock-solid, verifiable alibi for that night.
Where was she?
I couldn't figure that. I don't think it ever said.
Oh,
But she had a thing, rock solid.
probably with police chief. No kidding.
Right.
Or
So-
the DA.
This was the moment that investigators realized Liz was not the victim. She was a clumsy but extremely dangerous fabricator. So this is where the brilliant work of digital forensics specialist Tony Kava comes into play.
He's already my hero.
So Tony didn't just look at phone logs. He went hunting for physical data Liz thought she had destroyed. During a search, Tony found an SD card that had been tucked away. And when he plugged it in, he realized that he had hit the mother lode. It contained over 11,000 photos. Now, most of these photos were mundane, they were nothing. But Tony used advanced recovery software to find ghost files.
Cool.
These were thousands of deleted images that Liz had tried to wipe. When they say nothing is deleted forever,
Hey, once it goes out on the internet, it's there forever.
they mean it. All it takes is a guy like this.
I like him already.
Among these was a folder that was essentially a storyboard for Carrie's murder. Tony found photos of Carrie's car taken from angles that proved Liz was stalking her before she disappeared. There were even photos of a blue and black tarp and specific cleaning supplies. The metadata showed these were taken before the murder. It proved premeditation. Liz hadn't just snapped. She had planned exactly how she would dispose of the body and clean the crime scene well in advance. But the eureka moment in this one is one that sends chills down the spine of the entire task force. And it was a recovered photo of Carrie's body.
Damn.
Liz had taken a photo of Carrie's remains as a trophy. Even though she had deleted it, the data was still etched into the silicone of that SD card.
Oh, shoot ya.
Tony reconstructed the image bit by bit until Carrie's specific tattoo was visible. But the smoking gun was the metadata itself, not the photo. That photo of Carrie's body had been geotagged.
What does that mean?
So basically, it's tagged with the exact coordinates of
Oh,
where
okay.
the photo was taken.
Oh, okay.
So it showed that it had been taken in Liz's own home days after Carrie vanished.
Damn.
In that moment, the digital ghost was given a physical grave. Liz hadn't just stalked Carrie. She had documented her own crime in her very own living room. This is where Liz's hubris really failed her. To prove Carrie was still alive, Liz would periodically send Dave current photos of Carrie, ones that she claimed Carrie was sending her as a taunt. But Tony Kava went deeper. He pulled the EXIF data, which was the internal metadata from those files. So not only were they old photos of Carrie that had been taken years prior, but the metadata showed they had been processed through an editing software on a specific date and time. And that editing software was registered to a personal account in the name of Shanna Liz Gollier.
Oh, she just hung herself.
She was effectively the publisher of the very evidence she claimed was coming from a ghost. She was the one scrubbing the timestamps and trying to redate them, and her own digital fingerprints were all over the publish button. But Liz's narcissism was her ultimate undoing. So remember that Amy email that I had mentioned?
Mm-hmm.
The one where she wrote about the knife?
Yes.
Detective Avis and Dottie looked at that and they froze. They had just uncovered the blood evidence in the Ford Explorer. They had never told the public that Carrie was stabbed, let alone in her own car.
Yeah, a good one of the better detectives will leave out details like that. It rules out the nut.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it included the nut.
Yep. Amy Flora couldn't have known that detail because Amy Flora wasn't there.
Mm-mm-mm. What a tangled web we weave.
So Liz had written the email to sound like a confession. That was the purpose. But she'd used her own memories of that night, the night she killed Carrie, to fill in the blanks. She was so desperate to be the heroine of her own story that she forgot only the killer knew the number of wounds because they had not found Carrie's body.
Yeah.
So now I mentioned them a couple times already, but detectives Ryan Avis and Jim Dottie didn't take over the case until 2015. And when they did, they invited Liz to come in, playing the concerned friend to get her to trip over her own technical lies. While the transcript of this meeting is haunting, the physical behavior of Liz is what detectives recall as truly chilling. As they presented more evidence, Liz didn't cry or show fear. Instead, she became increasingly robotic, and actually, she began correcting the detectives on minor technical definitions of the apps that she had used. It was a peak example of Duper's delight. She seemed more concerned with proving she was the smartest person in the room than she was with the fact that she was a murder suspect. Yeah. So
I
now,
said, bitch, be crazy.
so I have some of this conversation from inside that room. I don't have the whole thing, but this is the bit that's important.
Okay, I'm listening.
Okay. So they're in the room, they bring her in, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Detective Avis says, quote, Liz, we're really worried. These threads from Carrie, they're getting worse. We've been tracking the IP addresses where these messages come from. They keep showing up at your house, your work, and even when you're with Dave. Liz sighs and she says, quote, I know. It's terrifying. I feel like she's a ghost. She's everywhere. Detective Dottie chimes in and says, quote, well, that's the thing, Liz. We've been looking into the hacking angle. We think Carrie is incredibly smart. We think she might be hacking your home Wi-Fi and your phone to send these texts so it looks like it's you. Is that possible? Liz answered. She seemed, excited and happy. And she goes, oh my God, yes, that makes so much sense. She was a programmer, right? She told me once she could disappear and still see everything. She's trying to frame me, isn't she? Then we have Detective Avis come back, knowing that she's
bullshit.
right. She's right there where they want her. He says, quote, it looks that way, but here's the problem, Liz. We looked at the login sessions for Carrie's account. It was logged in on a mobile device at the exact same second you were posting to your own Facebook from the same device. For Carrie to do that, she would have to be physically holding your phone while you were using it. Was she there with you, Liz? Liz is like, I don't know. Maybe she put a virus on my phone. She's smart with code. Detective Dottie, knowing they finally have her, says, quote, Liz, we also found a photo. It was deleted from your tablet. It's a photo of a woman's foot. It has a very specific tattoo. Do you know who that is? Liz says, I've never seen that before. And Detective Avis brings it all home, saying, quote, that's Carrie's foot, Liz. And that metadata says that photo was taken inside your house 2 days after she went missing. How did Carrie's body get into your house? The 2017 trial was a rare no-body bench trial before Judge Timothy Burns.
Oh, it was a bench trial, it wasn't jury trial.
Nope. Dave Krupa took the stand and described the horror of realizing every scary text was written by the woman standing next to him. So we have to talk about the sheer scale of this investigation. It wasn't just a few emails. It was a digital mountain. Tony Kava spent over 3,000 hours auditing digital evidence in this case. We're talking about 15,000 emails and 50,000 text messages.
I'm lucky I send more text messages to you than anybody else.
Yeah.
And you're usually at work.
Yeah.
But I don't even think I've sent that many out in the last 10 years.
I pretty much do nothing but texting, and I don't think I've ever sent, maybe in my whole life altogether, I've sent that much.
Now, I remember when you got your first cell phone. Man, you sit there and you
Mhm.
just, them thumbs are going and I'm getting tired just watching it.
I can do that even with my new phone without looking at the screen. You can do the same thing.
And you'd be watching TV while you're doing it.
Yep.
And it's like, I can't even write with my hand and watch TV at the same time. Come on now.
That's when you had to push the button 3 times to get the letter you wanted.
That's the phone I had.
Yep.
That's the phone you had too,
Mhm.
yeah. And it's like, no. That's why I do tell you, don't text me, call me.
I would rather you text me.
Well, yeah, I tell you, I only call you unless
Right.
if I call you, it's an emergency.
Just in general, I would just text me
Yeah,
because
well,
I may
yeah.
not want to talk to you in that moment. And a text message, I don't have to look at it.
In fact, the only one I talk to Debbie more on my phone than anybody else,
Yeah,
and that's only because she's not here.
right,
But when she gets here, that'll my phone will go, "What the hell?"
right. Okay. Anyway, sorry. So Liz used VPNs and proxy servers. I know you don't know what any of this means.
Nope, not a clue.
I know. Just go with it.
I am.
So Liz used VPNs and proxy servers to mask her traffic, essentially out hacking the system. So Kava had actually written a bespoke code that unmasked what she did. At the trial, the digital evidence was so vast that they had presented a 1,000 slide exhibit.
Good gravy.
That is how much evidence they had. She in an effort to cover her tracks, she failed miserably.
Well, Uncle Sam don't. The FBI don't want her to be working for him.
No, I mean, obviously, I'm glad that she did, but I'm just saying, she tried so hard to cover her tracks and make it look as though she was a victim in all of this. And she didn't do a good job at it at all.
That's crazy.
It just needed the right detectives on the case to find it.
Right.
So, this exhibit proved that murder doesn't always need a body. It can leave a trail of data just as clear as a trail of blood.
Did they ever find her body?
I don't think so. So one of the most fascinating parts of the trial was the linguistic fingerprint, the one that was on that mint container. So forensic experts compared Carrie's real emails to the ghost text. Carrie was a professional programmer. She was meticulous with grammar and punctuation. She never misspelled tomorrow, that specific word. Liz, however, consistently spelled it tomorrow. So when she spelled it, it was Tommarrow. So she put an A in replace of that second O.
I just blew my mind. I'm going, huh?
Yeah.
That's not right.
Every single ghost text from Carrie's phone had Liz's specific spelling error. It was as if Liz had left her own digital DNA with every message she sent. The judge noted that the shift in Carrie's voice was too stark to be anything other than forgery. Judge Burns was scathing. He looked at Liz and said, quote, Cari Farver did not disappear voluntarily. She was removed from this earth in a calculated, cold-blooded act of violence. He then continued saying, quote, the defendant's conduct was sadistic. To use the identity of a dead woman to haunt her teenage son is a level of depravity this court rarely sees. You attempted to delete Cari Farver while keeping her alive as a digital puppet.
I like that judge.
Yeah. Shannon Liz Gollier was then found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life.
No parole, I hope.
No, most jurisdictions, premeditated murder, you get life with no parole. But it didn't say that specifically.
Now, what state?
Nebraska.
Oh, it was Nebraska?
Mm-hmm.
Should have got the death penalty.
Specifically Douglas County.
She should have got the death penalty.
And then she also got additional time for the arson that she committed, but it's so little that. Yep. Mm-hmm. So for those of you that want to see the faces behind the data and the ones that ultimately brought Liz down, the case was the focus of a 2024 Netflix documentary, Lover, Stalker, Killer. So it's a fantastic visual companion to everything that we discussed today. I got a lot of my stuff off there, including the quotes that I had. So you get to see the forensic maps that Tony Kava created. You hear from Amy, you hear from Dave, the detectives, all of that. They're all in there. It's really good. There is obviously more in there than I have included, but most of what I have came from that. But as you've heard today, even a high production documentary can only scratch the surface of a 1.2 million pieces of evidence case. Couldn't put everything in. And while the documentary focuses heavily on that love triangle, the real legacy of this case isn't the drama, but instead the law that was born from this tragedy. So there's one final piece of proof that the digital investigator noted as the most powerful circumstantial evidence of all. For 1,500 days, so 1,500 days, the Cari Farver accounts had been active and relentless. The moment Shannon Liz Gollier was taken into custody and the handcuffs clicked shut, those accounts went completely silent. The ghost didn't stop because she found peace. She stopped because the person typing for her was in a jail cell. So while the handcuffs were clinking shut and the terror had ended, it was only the beginning of a massive battle to protect others from falling into the same digital vacuum as Cari. Cari's legacy lives on through Cari's law, but getting it passed was a massive, grueling legislative fight. Nancy Rainey spent years fighting an uphill battle against a system that didn't understand digital stalking. Politicians and agencies were hesitant, and they actually argued that requiring immediate investigations for digital-only contact could overwhelm resources or even infringe on a person's right to disappear. It was difficult to convince them that a text message shouldn't count as proof of life. Nancy had to show them the thousands of cruel messages that gaslit her for years to prove how easy it was for a killer to hide behind a screen. But because of her persistence, she fundamentally shifted the legal standard. Under Cari's law enforcement can no longer refuse a missing persons report based solely on digital messages. It established the face-to-face standard. Now, for a person with no history of disappearing, proof of life must be verified physically by an officer or a trusted third party. It also mandates that adults with medical conditions like Cari's bipolar disorder are classified as at risk immediately, triggering an urgent investigation regardless of what a phone screen says. It ensures that no mother is ever left in the digital dark again. But Cari's legacy isn't just about the law. It's about reclaiming her identity as the brilliant woman that she was. The very men who spent thousands of hours staring at the digital mountain Liz created, Tony Kava, Jim Dottie, and Ryan Avis, wanted to make sure Cari was remembered for her intellect, not just her death. So in 2019, they partnered with the Community Foundation for Western Iowa to establish the Cari Farver Memorial Scholarship. The scholarship is awarded annually to students at Iowa Western Community College, which is Cari's alma mater. These students are those that are pursuing careers in information technology, just like Cari. And there is incredible news to share. As of late 2025, the community and listeners like you have helped raise over $81,000 for this scholarship.
Nice.
The scholarship has officially reached its goal of becoming a permanent endowment. That means that every single year, a student will receive a $2,000 award to help them become a digital pioneer just like Cari. So her story started with a digital ghost trying to erase her, but it ends with her name attached to the future of the field that she loved. Technology was used to delete Cari's life, but in the end, that same technology was what brought her killer to justice. Now, I've placed direct links to the Cari Farver Memorial Foundation Scholarship in the description of the episode. You can also find it on our Facebook, along with a couple other links. I also have a separate post that has several, not all of them because there were a ton, several of the email accounts that Liz had created. That is on there, along with a timeline, a written timeline, basically, so you can kind of physically see it. So if you feel, if you want to, go check those out. If you feel moved to help Cari's legacy, that link is there for you to make a donation. And that's That's all I got for this one.
No man or woman is worth that much work.
No way.
Wrong answer.
No, thank you. I'm good.
I ain't got that much energy.
Me neither. God.
She must have had the energy of a toddler.
Must have, because Lord.
I'm on my phone too much and I can't see. Eyes go blurry.
I know. She just had too much time on her hands, I guess. I don't know.
No kidding. And to burn down your own house like that and kill your animals, that just
That
that's another
it
side sick.
goes to show how bad obsession can be.
It just goes to show how sick that bitch was.
That too. Yeah. So thank you guys for sitting with us through this one. The-
This one was a fun one. I like this one.
Cari Farver's story is a reminder that while the digital world can be manipulated, the truth has a way of always leaving a permanent trail. So if you find this deep dive as haunting as we did, take a second, give us a rate, a review, make sure you're subscribed, and it's the single best way to help new listeners find us. We want to hear from you, so send your case suggestions, your own listener tales, anything you want to say. You can send those to our Facebook or in our email. I promise.
Tell us if you don't like us and
Right,
why,
right.
or if you love us and why.
I promise. I read every single one of those. And did you have anything else to say
No, but
to this
just
case?
like I said, nobody's worth all that effort. I mean, come on. Love is just l- love is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. But it ain't worth that much work.
No,
I don't care how good looking that other person is.
it's not worth your life or the life of someone else.
No, I love, like I said, I've been married 4 times, and I loved each one of them. But to go that far to keep them,
No, thank you.
no, thank you.
I'm good.
And besides that, I'm too old. I'm too fat and too old and
Oh
don't
my
care.
god, I cannot with you.
I was waiting for it. That's the first time you said it tonight.
My new catchphrase. So before we go, Monsterinos, I want to give you a glimpse of what we are headed into for next week.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going to tell you now, the next few weeks are rough. Okay,
Some of these are rough.
the next few ones are pretty rough.
I swear she's gonna kill me off.
All right, they're rough, but one, that's why we're all here. Okay. Two, discussing these cases keeps the memory of victims alive, tells their stories, but it also gives each of us things to look out for. Because unfortunately, in a lot of it's not the victim's fault. I'm never going to say that because it never is. But unfortunately, and I'm guilty of it, I'm sure you are, as well as I'm sure many of our listeners are. Sometimes there's red flags you just don't see in the moment.
That's very true. That's very true.
And hearing these cases, I'm trying to think of how to say it without sounding awful. Hearing these cases kind of puts it in the back of your head. Well, that might be a red flag. What type of behaviors and words to watch out for, especially if you've never encountered it before.
And trust me, the red flags and sometimes will hide as beige ones, so to speak.
Mhm.
That ain't you'll take your brain and tell you now that ain't nothing. You're okay. But always keep little things in the back of your mind.
Because sometimes it's not really a big red flag, and then there's other times where
It
it's
comes out and smacks you in the face,
exactly, and that's
figuratively.
that's part of why the true crime community is what it is. You know, we have an interest in it, and we want to hear these cases and tell these stories, things like that. But it's also as a way to watch and basically learn, so we can try to keep ourselves from ending up in the same situations.
Keep ourselves safe.
Right.
Safety is always number one.
Right. It sounds awful the way that I'm trying to say it.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. If I thought it did, I'd tell you.
I mean one thing, but it doesn't always come out correctly.
No, you're saying it the politically correct way.
Okay.
You're good. You're good, baby. You're good.
Hopefully nobody takes offense to it. I'm sorry if you do.
Pay attention.
I don't mean it bad.
All you got to do, people, is pay attention. If something seems off, investigate.
Always listen to your gut.
You're good, especially as women. We've got gut instincts for days.
Mhm.
And if you follow your gut, you will stay safe.
Sometimes, not always, but
Most
most times.
sometimes your gut can lead you the wrong way.
Your body picks up on things before your brain does.
Exactly. Like the back of your hair, the hair standing up on the back of your neck. You wake up in the middle of the night and like somebody's staring at you. Those are the things you've got to pay attention to.
And it's hard to sometimes. It really is.
I ain't worried about it in our house.
No. My dogs will eat you, so I'm not worried about
They'll protect grandma.
it. My dogs will eat somebody if they try to get into my house.
Especially Blue Blue.
Oh, yeah. Him and Dozer.
Oh, yeah. Dozer's my buddy.
Oh, yeah. 100-pound dog who thinks he's a lap dog.
Yeah. He's so funny.
He's
He
ridiculous.
he's like me. He just kind of moseys along.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna get no hurry unless Mike's bringing out the food.
He's 4 and he acts like he's 100 years old.
I know he acts older than I do, but he meanders. I mean, he does, and unless the food bowls are being brought out,
Or you're
knock them other dogs out of the way to get in there first.
or you're throwing a frisbee.
Oh, he loves frisbees.
Mhm.
And Blue, it's water. Carrie
Oh my god, I cannot with him. He's part fish. I swear he is. He truly is.
and Dexy and I got into a water bottle fight a couple nights. One night last week before he got sick, and so Carrie and I took it over, and we were squirting Blue, and he was eating the water.
He'll stick his whole face in a water bowl.
Yeah, I know. I've watched him.
Yeah, and he breathes out of his nose. Like he's part fish, I'm telling you.
That was so funny. He thought that dog thought that was the greatest thing in the world. Carrie and I just laughed.
When Dad first got here, Dad was down in the jacuzzi tub taking a bath. Blue jumped in the daggum tub with him. Hey, guy, what's up? Who does that?
Blue. Remember, I've seen pictures.
I haven't
Bubbles on top of his
Yeah.
head.
He's ridiculous. Anyway, y'all aren't here for that. I'm sorry. Anyway,
It
segue.
just goes to show that we're real human people.
Like crazy ass dog. Ugh. Anyway, so this week, like I said, the next few weeks are going to be really rough. But I have a palate cleanser planned for once we get through these. But they are important. For the most part, they're not as popular. They don't have the documentaries, things like that. And those are just important. And honestly, that's the biggest reason that Mandy and I started. We wanted to do cases that don't get those big ticket publicity like so many have. So for this week, we have talked about the digital footprint, about how things we leave behind online can tell a story long after we're gone. But next week, we're looking at a case where the digital trail didn't just tell a story. It caught a monster in the middle of a double life. We're traveling to Memphis, Tennessee. It's a story that starts with diamonds on the asphalt and ends at the edge of the Mississippi River.
Damn.
It's a case about a mother's radiant joy, a grandmother's stolen hour, and a birthday that was used as an alibi for the unthinkable. We're going to show you how microscopic glass, river hydraulics, and a single Hallmark card brought down a facade that was a year in the making. So you won't want to miss this one. It's a heavy climb, but it led to some of the most important laws the state of Tennessee has ever seen. So next week, it's a rough one.
I get it, cry.
Probably.
I don't want to. I hope I'm over this crap.
It was a tough one for me to get through to write. Like it took me a couple days. It's a rough one. So you're gonna have your blankets warning in the beginning, and then we also have a second one planned as well before we get into the story because it's rough. It's rough and it's very sad, but through that tragedy came a very important law in Tennessee, and honestly, it should be every state. It should be on the federal level. That is how important the law that came from this one is. So, I know it's gonna be rough. It might be one of those that you might have to listen to part of it and then pause it because it gets to be too much. But it's important. I hope that all of you come back for that one and listen to that one. And with that, guys, unless you have anything else.
Nope, I don't have nothing else.
All right. Guys, make sure you keep your eyes open, your digital footprint secure. And as always, we hope you keep listening and remember to
Watch out for monsters.
and don't kill people. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.